Delay in vaccines leave Canadians anxious as they wonder when it will be their turn in line.
Hi everyone and welcome back to school.
With the decline in provincial cases, students and teachers in primary and secondary schools are returning back to in-class learning.
It's been a huge challenge, but we're trying to keep up with things.
We hear an update from Humber's president, Chris Whitaker. Humber News starts now. Hello, I'm Jennifer Kozak coming to you with our virtual newscast from Humber College. It's Friday, February 5th, and here's what's making news. Canada may have ordered the largest number of COVID-19 vaccines per capita in the world, but its rate of vaccinating citizens lags way behind dozens of countries, and Canadians are likely to continue to feel the impacts of vaccine delivery issues. Europe this week authorized the COVID-19 vaccine delivery after halting expected doses of the Pfizer vaccine put the government's rollout plan into question. The Public Health Agency is now telling provinces they will get fewer than expected doses of the Moderna vaccine. Moderna sent 20% less than expected 230,000 vaccines this week, and the company isn't explaining why. Yet, Prime Minister Justin Trudeau says the promised doses will be delivered by the end of March.
We will have everyone vaccinated by September of 2020 who wants one.
To compensate for the lack of doses, Prime Minister Justin Trudeau struck a deal with Novavax to produce tens of millions domestically. The new Montreal facility won't be finished until late summer, and vaccines won't be ready until fall at the earliest. Canada is in the spotlight now as the only G7 country to take vaccines from a fund intended to help developing countries. The COVAX program pools funds from richer countries to help support the purchases of vaccines for low and middle income countries. Procurement Minister Anita Anand expects anywhere between 1.9 to 3 million from COVAX by the end of June.
We are expecting our shipments as a result, and all systems are go for these shipments.
A shipment of 250,000 Moderna doses have been expected at the end of the month. Canada is also expected to receive around 70,000 doses from Pfizer next week. Just over 1 million Canadians have received the vaccine. With the stay-at-home order showing a decline in COVID-19 cases, the Ford government is providing relief to some parents and students as it announces that schools will reopen on Monday. Next week, in-person learning will resume in most of Ontario, but this isn't the case for all regions. Schools in hotspots like Toronto, Peel, and York region will have to wait until February 16th after the Family Day weekend.
At the same time, we know that this is a challenge right now. You have some students and families that are completely fine right now. Remote learning is going well. It's a right fit for them. We know that others, though, it's not the right fit.
For the parents who have to work early or later in the day, childcare programs will also resume in those regions before and after school. But although some parents may be pleased with the news of schools reopening, concerns with new variants have many worried if proper COVID-19 safety measures are set in place.
The government needs to employ them and needs to make sure that they're strong, robust safety measures in order to have our kids protected from COVID and any new variants.
As part of the province-wide lockdown, schools originally closed following the holiday break that went into effect on Boxing Day. Here at Humber, the college denounced its plans for the coming terms, saying that at least until fall, classes will continue to be mainly virtual. This spring's convocation will also be a virtual event.
Mr. Whitaker, thanks for joining us today. We've seen the announcement that Humber is going to remain virtual right into the fall. Can you tell us more about what that means for students and classes moving forward?
Yeah. It's I guess going through this pandemic has been quite an experience for everybody. It's affected everybody across the planet, as we all know. And so we know that we need to try to provide information to students as far ahead of time as we can with respect to what the delivery mode is going to look like. Because whether you're a returning student or you're a new student, for example, we just sent out offers start of February this year for next September. And so we knew we had to start signaling to students because, students make life decisions. People have jobs, they have to move, they have families, all these things. So we understand that. And our priority is to keep our community, our students and our employees as safe as possible as we go throughout this. But at the same time, we're doing everything we can that we don't want to compromise the learning that students have. We want to be there for students to support them.
That's right. And you mentioned the health programs, but programs like the nursing program, labs are so intrinsic to, what we do. How is that going to look like? What provisions are you making to ensure that students and staff are safe on campus?
Yeah, it's an interesting experience going on campus right now because even though there are a fair number of students and staff going in, it seems like a pretty empty place right now, which is unfortunate for everyone. So for all those classes that we're currently offering with face-to-face learning, we are maintaining strict protocols, and our plans have been approved by public health and following plans we submitted to government. So for example, we can go up to 50 in a learning space, provided we can protect people and provide a safe environment. So that means, for nursing, for example, the requirement to wear PPE, to have PPE in place, lots of plexiglass, lots of markers on floors for people to keep their distance, physical distancing as required.
And of course, at Humber, we have a big population of international students, some of whom are planning to travel here now or maybe in the summertime. And just last week, the government announced tougher travel restrictions, that mandatory testings, automatic quarantine right away at hotels at an expense of $2,000.
Yeah.
What does that mean for our international students at Humber?
Yeah, so here's an example of the things that we're dealing with, and this is a big one. So we're working through that right now, just as some of the other restrictions that were in place that we've gotten past and learned how to deal with it in terms of providing spaces for students to come and do their quarantine period. We've dealt with that before. So right now, what I can say is we're working with government, with the provincial government, because this is a new federal regulation that's come into place. We're talking to our provincial government about advocating on our behalf, so we can make sure our students are not disadvantaged as a result of this.
For students like me, convocation is coming up in the spring, and I know it won't be held in person, but is there anything different we're expecting this year for that?
Yeah. So I mean, it's another one where we really just made the final call on convocation just within the last couple of weeks, because I think there was a joint announcement by all the post-secondary institutions in Toronto. So we're always optimists, and we've been hoping that we might be able to do something, but I think we're all agreed that's kind of unrealistic that we would be able to have a spring or summer convocation again this year. So at least a face-to-face one. So we haven't finalized the plans yet, but as you know, we had our first virtual convocation in the fall. So we'll do it upright, and we genuinely want to show our thanks and respect for our students and help them celebrate.
Mr. Whitaker, nobody can predict the number of cases, but moving forward, how can students, think ahead in the long run, whether they're a new student at Humber or myself leaving Humber with this whole journey?
Take one day at a time. You got to stay focused. You got to look after yourself. Everybody has to do that, and you need to be optimistic. That things will get better. I would also say that I continue to encourage everyone to follow the public health advice as much as possible.
Thank you very much for giving me the time to speak to you today. Of course, we'll look forward to continue to follow up with the updates on the changes at Humber.
The City of Toronto has opened its second of 2 buildings to provide affordable housing for those experiencing homelessness. Mayor John Tory officially unveiled the newly completed building at 321 Dovercourt Road earlier this week. The building consists of 44 new furnished studio apartments. Under the City of Toronto Modular Housing Initiative Plan, this is the second facility. The first building opened its doors in December 2020, located at 11 Macy Avenue with 56 studio apartments. The two housing properties provide a total of 100 new, affordable, supportive homes. Both modular housing sites will be operated 24 hours by on-site staff provided by Cora Health and the neighborhood group. Each resident will receive a personal crisis response plan with counseling and daily support. The housing initiative is one component of the city's Housing TO 2020-2030 action plan to create 40,000 new affordable rental homes to reduce homelessness in Toronto.
This program allows us to quickly build the safe housing stock that is desperately needed in Toronto. And today we're seeing the results of that plan. This new modular supportive housing build at 321 Dovercourt Avenue will provide 44 new homes to those existing shelter system. We are really proud to help fund this initiative because we believe that everyone deserves an opportunity to succeed.
Housing TO is just one of the several community pilot programs the city is launching this year. John Tory is also prioritizing those vulnerable with a pilot program using community agencies to respond in mental health crisis calls in a new non-police system. Mental health and wellness checks will no longer be in the hands of Toronto Police, as City Council voted unanimously this week. There will be 3 main mobile crisis teams in the northwest, northeast, and downtown areas of Toronto, as well as a dedicated team for the city's Indigenous communities.
Change will not only see mental health professionals applying their skills and training to incidents that will be a better answer, but it will also in turn allow police to focus on other priorities such as violent crime.
Calls for change started when Regis Korchinski-Piquet died from falling 24 stories while in police presence after a mental health check last May. Advocacy groups have also called for defunding of the more than $1 billion police budget, which will not change. The program is set to start in 2022 with a possible expansion in 2025. Celebrated Canadian writer Louise Bernice Have has been named the new Parliamentary Poet Laureate. The award-winning Indigenous poet is known by her Cree name Sky Dancer and uses her poetry to challenge Canada's difficult history with Indigenous people. Half, who was raised on Saddle Lake Reserve, is the 9th poet to hold the position. She attended Blue Quail's residential school as a child and went on to become a social worker.
It's called Returning. It's raining and the salt slides down my face into my mouth. Blue Quill's residential school, the log cabin, memories, I summit them all. I have been asked many times, wasn't residential school better than fires that raged at home?
I am deeply honored and humbled to serve the people from coast to coast to coast. My dream is that poetry will be given the same stature as that of the novel. It is a privilege to bring the First Peoples' voices and stories, poetry, and whatever genre they are bringing to life to the forefront. Thank you for this gift, Have said in a press release. The Parliamentary Poet Laureate's duties include writing compositions for special occasions, sponsoring readings, and advising the parliamentary librarian. Her latest poetry collection, Oasis, Kinky and Disheveled, will be released this spring. As so many remain dependent on binge watching for entertainment under stay-at-home orders, the Golden Globes give recognition for the movies and TV shows which help pass the time. This year's Golden Globe nominations are making history, announcing 3 female nominees for Best Director. In previous years, only 5 women were nominated in this category, and only 1 ever won the prize. Regina King, the director of One Night Miami, Emerald Fennell, the director of Promising Young Woman, and Chloe Zhao, the director of No Man's Land, are up for the prize.
I say just stay true to yourself and tell the stories that you're passionate about, and you'll find your audience.
Netflix also dominates the list with 22 out of the 70 film nominations and 20 out of the 54 shows. This gives the streaming service 1/3 of all nominations in total. Canada gets a big nod as well, with Schitt's Creek up for 5 nominations. That's all for today. I'm Jennifer Kozak. Humber News is written and produced by students in the journalism program. For more coverage, visit our website humbernews.ca and follow us on Twitter at HumberJRNL. We'll see you again next time.